जब माँ का आंचल छूटता है तो a child within you dies.
मुझे माँ की ममता नहीं मालूम. Is that where consciousness lie? Is there where we live? Your birth is an accident. How can you have purposeful accidents? Different people might help you reveal different sides of yourself. Why we spend a day with strangers and come back tired to our lovers? Your detachment from your roots creates conflict. Every human being is born with insecurity. Don't build a personal brand. Be personal. Act of being yourself is a rebellion. आपकी यूनिकनेस वहीं खत्म हो जाती है जहां आप वैलिडेशन को सीख करना शुरू करते हैं. Nobody is understanding that love is an action. माँ मर गई मेरी लेकिन उसका हर आशीर्वाद जिंदा है. Where is your truth?
You have done a lot of things, worked on idea, Ariel, and in advertising, most of the people know about you. But we are talking about the running thoughts when you're talking about, you were sharing like, oh, दिमाग में चलता रहता है, I'll post it on the Instagram. So I would like to ask you on that, what is the one thought अभी आपके दिमाग में जो चल रहा है?
एक कविता चल रही है मेरे दिमाग में बहुत दिन से.
Oh, what is it?
3-4 दिन से चल रही है कविता और मुझे वो काफी बातें कर रही है मुझसे.
Oh.
So talking to me because I lost my mother on 3rd Feb. And I've read a lot about grief just to help with me help myself with whole idea of grief. Because there is no upskilling on that, right? There is upskilling on AI, there is upskilling on data and cloud computing, and there is no upskilling on when you lose your loved one.
Yeah.
How do you cope with it? Where do you go for, right? So since you asked me क्या चल रहा है और any thought, तो ऐसी एक लाइन आई जज्बातों में कि माँ मर गई मेरी और उसकी हर बातें जिंदा है. माँ मर गई मेरी लेकिन मैं कहूँ माँ मैं जा रहा हूं, तुम अपने काम पे ध्यान दो, ये कहना जिंदा है. माँ मर गई मेरी लेकिन जो करो दिल से करो, ये बात जिंदा है. माँ मर गई मेरी लेकिन उसका हर आशीर्वाद जिंदा है. I don't know, these few lines are there within me.
It's beautiful.
I have not written it yet, but since you asked me, since last 4-5 days, it has been talking to me. It has been, so I find it very beautiful, that paradox of life and death at the same time. I know she's not there, but I know she's there. And आज सुबह मैं दौड़ते समय उसके बारे में फिर सोच रहा था कि फिर what is the last, where is the closure? इन चीजों का क्लोजर कहाँ है, and then I said, is the line that माँ मर गई मेरी लेकिन फिर भी जिंदा है?
Yeah.
So that beautiful idea of duality, that beautiful idea of कहीं दरार में, कहीं क्रैक में, एक बॉर्डर पे, रात और दिन के बीच, ब्लैक और व्हाइट के बीच, मौत और जिंदगी के बीच. Is that where consciousness lie? Is there where we live? Is there where we find ourselves? So since you asked me spontaneously, that's something which comes to me.
वो एक कहावत है कि लाइक एक लड़के के लिए जब उसका बाप की डेथ होती है, then he becomes a man, because तब तक आपको रहता है कि पापा वगैरह है तो you can fall back to it. दुनियादारी से आप थोड़ा समझ सकते हो, but जब माँ का आंचल छूटता है तो a child within you dies somewhere. क्योंकि no matter what, where you go, how old you get, when you come in front of your mother, you become a child. For her, you will always be a baby basically. So वो emotions जो आपके उस time पे निकलते हैं, the vulnerability वो कहने में नहीं होती है, but in the gesture of it is like beautiful. And if you I know there will be very great good moments with her. And what is the special moment you shared with her, which you can remember now? Basically,
yeah.
I also somewhere lost my bigger sister when I was 11, 12, and it happened so fast. It was the first experience I had. It was so early in my life. So after that, I have also because of some tragedies, I have been with this kind of experience. So I'm prone to now somewhere. I understand it's a life and you can't stop it.
Yeah.
In the first 2-3 things, you'll feel like क्यों हो रहा है, and nothing makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Life is somewhere कि क्यों ही है अब. Nothing matters to you at that moment. I know you must be going through that, but is there any special and giggly moment for you which you shared with her, if you can share?
पहले तो एक जो बात तुमने बोली वो let me allow me to kind of have my sharing on it.
Sure,
कि
sure, sure.
when the father goes away, the man comes alive. When the
Yeah.
mom goes away, the child dies. I think this also is a very set social conditioning.
Hmm.
And why I'm saying this, not because it's philosophy, not because it's ideology, because I've lived that. My mother was masculine
Oh.
in her manifestation. She wore the pants. She would call out whether my dad or any man who talked loudly to her, saying, talk properly to me. You know? So that's the first part of it, that I don't think I associate man with father and child with mother.
Yeah.
You know, I do not. In fact, she actually was much more instrumental in making me the man
Oh.
who I am.
Hmm.
Because I always saw her as a doer. I always saw her as somebody who used to talk about saying, "Isse kya hoga? Progress hogi? Isse kya fayda hoga?" Like she was always about going outside, doing something, making something, baking something. She never just contained herself to the idea of a woman the way society told her. You know, and she never also allowed me to be the mollycoddled child. So I don't know whether right or wrong. I don't know whether blessings or disguise or curse, but मुझे माँ की ममता नहीं मालूम है.
Oh.
I don't know it. She जो ट्रेडिशनल एक आइडिया है कि माँ की ममता और बाप का गुस्सा, I didn't experience that.
I didn't experience the बाप का गुस्सा वाला part.
Yeah. So I didn't experience it. In fact, my mother was always very strict. My mother was very matter of fact. If I told her I'm failing, I said, you should be shamed about it. You know, there's no, oh my beta, you're going to fail. I never, like, there's this idea that when you fall, you say, oh ma. Right? मैंने कभी नहीं बोला. मुझे चोट लगी, मैंने कभी नहीं बोला कि माँ. Because वो association नहीं था मेरा मम्मी के साथ. My mother was a taskmaster. My mother wanted me to be the most disciplined person in this world. She never wanted me to be, you know, slacking at things. She did not. She was a teacher.
Oh.
So she would always tell me that her students are more disciplined than I am. So I said, but this is not classrooms. She said, so what? Like, you know, so in fact, it's only in the later part of my journey that when mom was going through cancer and chemotherapy that we, like I wrote about it, that it took a cancer for the heart transplant between us. You know, when she was down with cancer, I found my mother and the teacher vanished.
Oh.
You know, because then she would hold hands and she would tell me, I love you. And we found a different relationship because I became the caretaker and she was my child in that way. We had a very different experience. So these are all beautiful memories.
Of course.
In one lifetime, to have so many different relationships with your own mother, it's the most beautiful thing to have happened.
So there's a part of it, like you just said, कि you have a different relationship, even with your mother and of course with your friends and everybody come across in your life. कहीं ना कहीं आप with time आपके जो relationship वो बदलता रहता है,
Yes.
वो grow होता रहता है and the moment of the benefit and everything changes towards it.
Yeah.
But and I have come across a lot of like things जहाँ पे वो बहुत लोगों का आता है कि you are a different person with a different people.
Yeah.
Some particular when आप जैसे ही दूसरे इंसान से बात करते हो, you are totally different.
Yeah.
It's just like energy you like reflect on with them basically. But I have heard a very people think it's a very problematic thing. यार एक तरीके का नहीं है ये इंसान, like बदलता रहता है, दल बदलू वगैरह है. Can we trust it or not? So what are your thoughts on that? कि like you will be a different person with different personality, or you have आपके अंदर ही within you have multiple personalities.
So it's a good question or a good provocation, and I feel that there is certain core about you. Every person has a certain core.
Yeah.
You know, and it depends on your self-awareness, which is machine learning, right? For me, I have lived few decades of my life on this earth, so I know myself now. If you are investing in understanding, reflecting, trying to understand why I did what I did. Like I say that till now there have been 4 different Suraj.
Okay.
I'm the 4th Suraj now.
What was the first?
Three have died. They're past. The Suraj who went to school, Suraj who went to college, Suraj who just got married, had a daughter, and Suraj today. Those 3, I can connect with them, but they are not the same people like me. Today, I'm a very different person. So people who had relationship with those 3 Suraj had different experiences.
Now when they see you, how is it like?
I feel that there are certain core.
Of course.
Right. Even today, when my schoolmates meet me, they tell me, we knew you will be somebody like this. So they can identify the 4th Suraj.
Yeah.
It's not like we never thought 4th Suraj will be so different. There is an evolution of journey in this, but there's no detachment from your roots. Your detachment from your roots creates conflict.
For sure.
Creates depression. Because when you feel uprooted, that's when you cannot flourish, you cannot unleash, you cannot be who you want to be. So that's the first thing. Second thing, what you said is very interesting. Why do we make new friends?
Yeah.
Why does adultery happen? Right? There is an entire research and report which says that people who are in love also do adultery. Why do they do this? And what the findings say is that when you meet somebody who you have not met, they might help you reveal a side of you which you did not know.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Suddenly, a person who never was funny finds his sense of humor with that person.
Particularly that,
and then that person wants to spend more time with, because he never thought he was humorous, or she never thought she was very talkative.
Yeah.
Like
totally.
Everybody says, "Tum itni shant rehti ho, kisi se baat nahi karti ho," and then she meets some man another day, and she talks a lot. So I love the way you talk, and now suddenly she finds the talkative side of herself. So different people might help you reveal different sides of yourself, and the seed has to be there. It can't be coming from outside. The seed was there. Like, for instance, let me tell you a fact which you'll say, I do not believe it. When I was a kid, I was a very shy kid.
Okay.
I could not speak. I could not talk. I could not go on stage. When I tell this today, saying, we don't believe it.
Can't associate it.
Can't associate it, right? So certain experiences in my life helped me reveal this side.
Yeah.
So it happens. Yeah.
The moment you talked about कि you are very much conscious and you know कि यार जो आगे आने वाला है, I'll have a little taste of it at least. So, talking about insecurities now, being that conscious, you must be conscious about your insecurities too. And everybody has something in them. कहीं ना कहीं वो spark आ ही जाता है, and you guys feel like oh, ये है मेरी थोड़ी insecurities. And so what was those, and how did you overcome that? Because knowing is just a first part of it. I know, I'm aware about it. I have some insecurities because of some insecurities, your mood, your behavior with people, especially close one, changes. And when you don't know about it, कि कहाँ से आ रहा है, why I'm getting irritated about particular thing, why I'm getting frustrated about particular thing, जब भी वो बात आती है, and if you don't know about it, the conflict rises. And if the other person and the situation is not very understanding, things can go wrong.
Yeah.
So let's talk about insecurities, and if you're very much conscious about it, what were these insecurities? How did you overcome it?
Yeah, it's a very important one, because insecurities happen the day you're born.
Yeah.
Right? जिस दिन आप पैदा लेते हैं, उस दिन insecurity भी पैदा ले लेती है. Because you don't want to be detached from your mother. You feel that nobody will take care of you.
Yeah.
And that is why you cry. And that is why you go to the person who can take care of your security.
Totally.
So insecurity is I would say, congenital problem. It's a birth disease. Every human being is born with insecurity. The cutting of the umbilical cord creates insecurity. It's a very conditional thing.
Yeah.
Then the social insecurities which happens. And I went to this military school in Dehradun, and not that there was a plan, not that my parents knew that they are sending me to a military school.
Yeah.
They wanted to send me to a boarding school, whichever that was.
No matter what.
No matter what. Now, here I was a kid who was interested in theater, in poetry, in beautiful quotations, in debates, and they sent me to a military school. And I had very bad motor skills. So if you send me the ball this side, I'll go that side, you know, and I'll be falling like a lousy guy who doesn't understand how to catch a ball.
You still like look for the left like this? Like
Yes, absolutely. I like, you know. So I said, and when you're young as a kid, and then the selection of the team happens and you're not in part of the selection, you're standing outside, you feel very inferior. And it happens over and over again. It happens for cricket match, it's for volleyball, for swimming, then you feel you are very lousy, you are a loser, right? And you're a young kid in a military school. And when this happened, I had to have a chat with myself because my parents were very far away and they couldn't understand what to do. And I asked myself, what do I want to do? Somewhere in me told me that it's not made for me. Those things I'm bad at. But I'm very good at stage. I'm very good at theater. I'm very good at stand-up. I'm very good at writing. I started doing more of that in a military school and I became famous for it because nobody was doing that. And so to me, that is a defining moment. In fact, because I was bad at motor skills, I started running. Because nobody could say you don't run well, no matter how badly you run. Right? There's nothing called bad run. Run is a run. You might run awkwardly or with your own affectations, but you can run. And that's, in fact, the idea of running thoughts came from there. Because when I started running, I got rid of my inferiority. I sorted myself out in my head. And then much later in corporate life, once I was troubled, I told my driver, Gadi roko. I started running. Mahim se till Pali Hill I ran. And this is like 15 years ago. And I ran in whatever dress I was. Because I remembered my childhood, you know, that it solved my problem. I thought something. And then when I ran from Mahim to Bandra to Pali Hill, something in me, in my head, in my meditational state, gave me my solution to the problem I was thinking. And till today, whenever I need to think, I just go for a run. It's my meditation. That's how SK running thought came about, because every time I run, some thoughts kind of build up, and then I started recording it, sharing it with people. You know, so I feel that इससे पहले कि मैं ये क्वेश्चन का क्लोजर करूं, एक जो थॉट आ रहा था इंस्टिंक्टिवली तुम्हारे सवाल पे कि एंड इन हिंदी आई विल टेल यू कि भरना है या बढ़ना है. ओके, सो आई इंस्टिंक्टिवली गो टुवर्ड्स बढ़ना. मुझे भरना नहीं है. जो खाली है मैंने उसको नहीं भरना चाहता, मैं बढ़ना जरूर चाहता हूं. You know, I don't want to fill what's empty, what's insecure, what's lacking. I don't want to. I don't look at it, because it's humanly impossible to fill something which is so instinctively empty. But it's brilliant to look at what can be more, what can be grown, what can be forward. So my wiring is to burna, not bharna. You know. So वो insecurity एक बचपन में आई थी, उसके बाद कभी मैंने I never felt insecure, never. You know, one insecurity I have,
which is,
what if my thoughts play games with me? What's if my tongue starts dancing and I'm not being able to speak what I speak? You know, what if I'm not being able to communicate what I want to communicate, whether through voice, writing, or speaking, or seeing? Those are few insecurities which I sometimes think, what will I do then?
It's kind of a basically fear if that happens, because I was also thinking the same thing, go through a lot, like what if you always, when you go into like philosophical and you read about a lot about mind, and when you get to know about it, you like how the functioning works, how your thoughts build you, and everything, then you start questioning a reverse, like how are these thoughts coming in? How can I be sure that these are the good one? How can you be so sure about it? Like, कि जो मैं भी सोच रहा हूँ कि ये अच्छा ही सोचना है, positive, whatever it is. But is this the only way or a good way? So to like, there's a thin line, of course, getting crazy or getting enlightened.
उसलिए border पे रहना बहुत important है. Right? झूठ भी है और सही भी है. सत्य भी है, मिथ्या भी. रात भी और दिन भी. So get obsessed with what you have, right? But have the detachment to know that's just a playful obsession. Playful obsession allows you to create the distance which you need, you know, and that insanity, that intoxication which you don't topple over is important to enjoy life. Either most people become very rational, or most people become very like crazy. You cannot live like that. The world doesn't operate like that. How can you point out, is it day or night? You can't. There is no moment when it is completely day or night. एक भी क्षण ऐसा नहीं होता. Then how can you say that it's truth or it's a lie? Secure or insecure. And the other bit is, why do you doubt something which you own? जो चीज को आप जन्म दे रहे हैं उस पे डाउट तो कर ही नहीं सकते. It's born of you. So why do you doubt it? I don't doubt it. I might be wrong, but I don't doubt it. Who decided what's wrong anyway? Act of being yourself is a rebellion. खुद को खुद सा रखना एक सत्याग्रह है. You know what I mean? The whole world is designed to change you. ऐसा होना चाहिए. आजकल डेटा है, AI है, finance है. When I was growing up, I was told finance is the best sector to get in. Right? Then it was telecom. Then it was e-com. Now it is AI. Right? Where is your truth?
So one thing I was reading right now was कि सबका I'm generally at this age of now, people are like starting their career. Most of my friends and they are worried about कि यार कहाँ जाएंगे, कैसे होगा, like कैसे चलेगी, टेंशन है सब चीज़ की, because in this culture of seeing everything like social media and everything कि सब कुछ crazy कर रहे हैं, सब फाड़ रहे हैं यार, 20-20 साल के बच्चे multi-billion dollars कंपनी चला रहे हैं, everything is just going on. But I read something very beautifully कि the purpose of you coming in life is not about finding your purpose in this. Just एक natural calamity है जो बनी है आपके लिए, just live through it.
Right.
Just live through it. That's what I thought on that. Like,
no, I completely agree. Your birth is an accident.
Yeah.
How can you have purposeful accident? Let's have a purposeful accident. How can I make meaning out of it? I think this obsession with finding meaning is the moth. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because what you call mundane is the meaning. You did not design to be born. You did not design where will you be born. You didn't design who to be born to. You didn't design who will be your siblings.
Yeah.
Lot of things you did not design. And then when you become adult, you want to take, credit for decisions you are making.
Yeah.
You're not making decisions. What are your decisions anyway? You know what I mean? So I feel that this obsession with comparison, right, is a problem. And I'm so glad that I'm not your age today, because my heart goes out to you guys.
Yeah.
In the age of social media where everything is, unless it's posted, it's not there. It's crazy, right? Like, how does it make life? And I don't think we should be obsessed with purpose, but the definition which really works for me, and I believe that should be, okay, this accident has happened. I'm born, which I couldn't control. मेरा इसमें कोई हाथ नहीं, कोई contribution नहीं है. The accident has happened. I'm born, which is a gift now. Now between the birth and the grave, how can I have a beautiful journey? That's all. And everything which comes in the life, whether you get married, get a job, get a penthouse, get a car, get arrested, get drugged, whatever happens in your life is coming your way to reveal something about you.
Yeah.
They are like gymnasium of sorts, which sends you tools. So between your accident and the graveyard, make the journey beautiful, man.
As you mentioned, like, it's a journey. Like when you get born or jab tak aap marte nahi, it's a just journey, you live through it. And right now we were talking about ki social media culture and like whatever you put out there. I genuinely believed there was a time I stopped posting and doing anything, because somewhere you said a very beautiful thing. If you're fractured, or the thought of that particular moment or the memory you lived is undoubtful, you'll put that out. So what is it like about when you are out and the need for clicking a moment
या
in your
ये
phone?
बहुत ही खूबसूरत बात है और मुझे लगता है कि इस पे काम करना चाहिए और ये देयर शुड बी अ मॉड्यूल और स्कूल और एक लाइसेंस होनी चाहिए. मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ बिकॉज यू हैव बीन पार्ट ऑफ लिसनिंग मूवमेंट व्हिच वी
Yeah.
स्टार्टेड and lot of students of your class and few others asked us saying, how do you know what you are saying, what you are doing is right? How do I know the poetry I've written, the reel I've made is going to be liked by everybody?
Yeah.
You know? And I feel this disease of validation, ये एक कैंसरस मौत है. ये फैलता है, पहले दिमाग से शुरू होता है, but it can paralyze you.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what the pill is or what the cure is or you know what the valotherapy is for lack of validation. But the only way truly anybody can be free is to not look for validation. अगर आप कोई भी काम शाबाशी के लिए कर रहे हैं, that's the end of it. आप अच्छा कर ही नहीं सकते उसके बाद. If you want to be said, well done, great job, great journey, you will not do something great. You'll do something which everybody wants. You will not amaze anybody. You will not surprise anybody. You'll not do something which you want to do.
Yeah.
आपकी यूनिकनेस वहीं खत्म हो जाती है जहां आप वैलिडेशन को सीख करना शुरू करते हैं.
Totally.
You know? So in the age where likes are the currency, it fuels validation. It tells you whether you're worth it or not.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a great problem area. For me, one of the things which has given me a great freedom since I have known myself is I don't care about validation. मुझे कोई बोलता है ना great presentation, ठीक है. I feel good.
Yeah.
But I was not doing it for that. I'm actually doing it to manifest myself. I believe in something. My belief system doesn't need validation. Then how it is a belief? Who believes in it? If the world has to believe in my belief, then whose belief is it anyway? I don't believe in second-hand thoughts. It has to be a first-hand belief. So I feel that, those who, there's this great poet Reich, and a young poet wrote him a letter that मैंने ये पोइट्री लिखी है, आपको कैसा लगता है बताइए, मुझे आपसे कुछ गाइडेंस चाहिए. So for 2 months, of course, he didn't get a response. He was a great poet. Finally, after 2 months, he wrote to him, and there is a book called Letter to a Young Poet.
Oh.
और सबको पढ़ना चाहिए आज के दिन में. And that Letter to a Young Poet is a very thin book, but that book basically says that please don't ask me to judge your poetry, because by doing that, I'll kill the poet in you.
Yeah. And like we're talking about the book right now, and what you said is like, जब आप अपना काम दूसरों के हाथों में दे देते हो, they'll somewhere, because they'll be looking at it from their perspective and they've lived a very different life. When two people come together, be his friend as anything, their situation can be same, but what they have seen through others is very totally different.
Yeah.
And I was reading a book, so there's a line like that when he get mad because the situations were too bad.
Yeah.
It's like in Russia, they're like in Germany around that time, in the snow, they are just going out with no boots, standing for hours and working. So there was a moment when he realized like he can't feel anything, and he started seeing life beautifully, and there was a sunset happening, and that moment he is just seeing his wife, like and talking to her in his own mind.
I've read that, yeah.
She's not there. So there's lines like, a man's salvation is only through love.
Yeah.
In love. So I got a tattoo, through love, in love, because that line impacted me a lot. Like, this is true, like, because when you get in the zone of it, love, everything becomes automatically beautiful, blissful.
Love needs no validation.
So what are your thoughts on love?
On love, I mean, like, I'm still a student of love.
Okay.
Right? I'm still to do my PhD in love. But I know one thing, that love is a verb.
Okay.
Love is not a noun. आप ये नहीं कह सकते मुझे तुमसे प्यार है. In fact, मुझे तुमसे प्यार है is the most stupid statement to make. It's cheap. इट्स फ्लिपेंट, आप 10 बार बोल सकते हैं, 10,000 बार बोल सकते हैं, और उसका कोई मतलब ही नहीं है एक्चुअली, बिकॉज उस इंसान को बहुत लोगों ने यही बोला है कि मुझे तुमसे प्यार है,
हाँ.
लेकिन उसको किसी से प्यार नहीं है, बिकॉज नोबडी इज अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट लव इज एन एक्शन, यू हैव टू डू समथिंग, व्हेन यू डू समथिंग लव कम्स अलाइव। लव एक फीलिंग है जिसको जिंदा करना पड़ता है, you have to water it, you have to work on it, you have to give it action, you know. We can say I love my mom, I love my sister, I love my friend, I love my wife, but you have not done anything about it.
Yeah.
In fact, people use love as a weapon. क्या यार तुम आज भी डिनर के लिए कैंसिल, but I love you यार.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, तो तुम नहीं अभी भी होली में नहीं आ रहे हो घर पे, नहीं काम है मॉम, पॉडकास्ट कर रहा हूं, बट आई मिस यू गाइस, इट डजंट मेक एनी सेंस। तो मेरा जो अभी तक का थीसिस है, यू नो, दैट हाउ आई क्लैरिफाइड, बिकॉज एक फेज ऐसा था कि आपके माइंड मूवी मेकिंग मशीन है।
हाँ.
आप किसी से मिलते हैं, आपका माइंड बोलता है प्यार हो गया, राइट? माइंड इज लाइक नोटिफिकेशन भेजता रहता है वो, और नोटिफिकेशन इतने ही वेस्टफुल है जो आपके फोन पे आते हैं, उसका कोई मतलब ही नहीं है, you know, and you can't act on all notification because you'll go mad, right? Then how do you decide which notification to act on? And that's what told me that if there are 5,000 notifications that I am falling in love, then the only way I can decide which is true love is what I am doing about it. अगर किसी नोटिफिकेशन में कोई एक्शन लेता हूं, that's true love. बाकी में केवल ख्याल आ रहे हैं, that's great for sitting on a commode. कॉमोड पे बैठ के बहुत प्यार आ सकता है सबको, यू नो। सो मुझे लगता है कि प्यार में एक तो लव इज अ वर्ब, एंड दूसरा द ग्रेटेस्ट गिफ्ट ऑफ लव इज टाइम, वक्त।
Totally.
योर ब्रेथ इज लिमिटेड, योर टाइम इज लिमिटेड। आप किसी को अपना वक्त दें अगर मोहब्बत है तो, चाहे खुद से या दूसरों से, उसको वक्त दें। आई थिंक जस्ट बीइंग अराउंड, sharing time and space with the person is the greatest gift of love, you know. तीसरा, जो again, like I said, I'm student of it. I read something beautiful that why do we need lovers? When you are with your mother, she notices everything about you. एक छोटी छोटी चीजें नोटिस करती है। तुम पहले खाते थे तो चावल यहाँ लगता था, अब नहीं लगता है। तुमको नोटिस नहीं हो रहा है कि एक 1 grain of rice used to stick on the left side of your lips. Now it sticks on the middle finger over here.
Yeah.
Your mother noticed it. Because we are too busy living life outside, you know, and our changes are not visible to us. हमारा चेंज, हम में जो चेंज हो रही है, छोटी छोटी चीजें चेंज हो रही हैं, you know. When you're a kid, the way you used to wipe yourself after bath. You know, and today when you wipe yourself, you don't know the change.
Yeah.
You need a witness. कोई गवाह चाहिए आपकी जिंदगी का जो इस तरह से करीब से देखे, so can tell you what changes are you going through. That's love.
It's beautiful. I actually read it somewhere, more or less similar. It was like the foundation of marriage is not about कि you love that person. It's about कि अब ये जिंदगी, आप जैसे बड़े होते हो, automatically something keeps in your mind कि there should be someone to witness it.
Yes.
अगर आप अकेले जीते रहोगे, you won't be able to witness yourself and your life, what you have gone through.
That's why you have a second party, na? Second witness कौन है? आप तो culprit हो. Who is witnessing you?
That's that. And so would like to ask you on the, when now you're a student of love, and at this age you realize a lot of things, and must have been a roller coaster of a journey. But what was that first experience of love, if you can share about it?
वो अभी भी है. The experience of love, the first important instinctive experience of love, जो मेरा एक सपना भी है. I have a fantasy that I am levitating.
Okay.
मैं बचपन से देखा हूँ. I have had so many dreams that I'm levitating and my head is sticking to the ceiling. You know, अब मैं उड़ रहा हूँ हवा में. You know. And whenever I have felt love, whether it was when I was a kid, when I was a young teenager, when I'm today, the first important thing of feeling love is you're levitating. आप उड़ रहे हैं. You know what I mean? And when you're doing an act of love, you can feel the levitation.
Yeah.
You know, when you're getting a gift for her, when you're trying to get her kind of food, when you're trying to get your mother the earring she wanted, you know, when you're getting a particular, you know, book for your friend he wanted that book for a very long time. आप लगता है कि आप उड़ रहे हैं. That feeling has not gone away.
What was the experience like when you was like, if you gone through like teenage love or your like first love कि यार ये
यही उड़ने वाली बात थी.
But what did you do? What did you express?
I think I mean you know, I remember the first time I fell in love, I started writing everything about my day because we were not in the same city. I was in boarding school.
Yeah.
तो रात को सोने के पहले दिन भर क्या हुआ है उसका minutes of the day I used to write for her and keep it.
Okay.
You know, then after 6 months when I met her, उसको मैंने 6 नोटबुक दिए जिसमें मेरे दिन में जो भी हुआ है उसमें लिखा था, as if I am talking to her at the end of the night. So again it goes back to तुम मेरी गवाह हो, right?
हुआ है. Yeah. We were talking about the school of life and you have a thought about like एक school of life होना चाहिए. You started CCC and Mike also with that somewhere closer to that thought.
Yes.
So what is that school of life? अगर आप just an hypothetical question, I hope that happens because I think कहीं ना कहीं बहुत ज़रूरत हो जाती है because nobody is teaching you life. In colleges also go 12th के बाद बोलते हैं कि graduation कर लो उसके बाद you'll get to know about it. But nobody, when I graduated, when we all graduated, after that moment you feel like कि अब कोई छत नहीं. Whatever you have to do is like on your own.
Yeah.
Nobody gets you ready for that particular feeling or that thing. Ki now what?
Yeah.
Because that's not the age they'll figure out everything. But making them feel like it's okay. Ki you don't have to figure it all out now. It's very important. That's a school of life. You get to know about ki kya hai आखिरकार जिंदगी and कहाँ जा सकता है. So what are the thoughts on? Of course, you have multiple thoughts on that, but what will be the particular things you will be talking and integrating in that school of life, which you would like to share, like to the whole world and the?
बहुत चीजें हैं, but I did write a preface to the book of life.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a beautiful quotation that life is lived forward and understood backwards. मैं इसको change करना चाहता हूँ. The reason for whatever I'll do, whether school of life or book of life or module of life or story of life or whatever that is, there's no point understanding backwards. ये stupid तरह से जीने का तरीका है. It's like saying I'll drive and then look backward कितने लोग मर गए. Right? It doesn't work. What is the point of living life forward and understanding backwards? Why can't we live life forward and understand forward? What I know today, I wish I knew when I was as your age.
Yeah.
Right? Why do we have to be 50, 40, 30 to know that? We don't. Why do we have to suffer loss? Why do we have to be betrayed? Why do we have to be heartbroken? Why do we have to lose our jobs? Why do we have to be shown that we don't earn as much as our friends? Why do we have to be judged by our relatives? Why do we have to feel like, why do we have to go so many experience to become a better person and to become what kind of life you want to live?
Yeah.
Right? If you are given that knowledge and wisdom and skills, more importantly, skills, you know, to manage your emotions, your life, what matters most importantly, then probably in your 20s you'll do so well. You know? So the whole purpose of that project which I have in my head is to not understand it backwards, understand it forward. And of course there are various, as of now I call it chapters or modules in my head which are important, and because this society and the culture, and especially हम जिस देश में रहते हैं वहां पे हम सब कुछ केवल जॉब पाने के लिए करते हैं.
As of now, yeah.
चाहे whatever skill set, whatever education, we do it to get a job. We don't do it to live better. Which is why there is so much of mental health problem. Which is why we are feeling disconnected. You know, I want to make sure we don't just do everything to get a job. And if job was solution to everything, then why is everybody not happy? You know?
Yeah.
So the seeking of knowledge and degrees and diplomas and upskilling to get a job is a problem area.
Yeah.
Because despite getting the job which you thought you should be happy about, you're miserable.
Yeah, totally.
Right? So I feel that we are living a very suboptimal life. You know, you're not being the person you should be, because the day you live like that, you'll be the most happiest person and you'll do very well.
Yeah, automatically.
You know, because there is nobody like you in this world, but you're becoming like everybody else. And you're trying to succeed in that. And that is a disaster. You're downskilling, not upskilling. मेरे पास भी AI certificate है. Like, dude, what happened to you?
So, like you mentioned, like you're not becoming yourself, you are just copying somewhere. And that particular thing, you can easily point it out from the dressing, I feel. The moment you started seeing everybody on like 10 people on the road, and almost see like everybody's dressing like the same, you know, they're in trap of the society or whatever is the trend or culture. Like
you master yourself.
Coming on to that, like as we talked about there, right now the fourth Suraj is there. So somewhere it is in the business you are in, it's like more or less personal branding of yourself, because how you portray, how you put yourself out there, and like people seeing, because no matter who you are internally, what people see is what you show them.
Yeah.
And that's your branding part of it.
Yeah.
They know not everybody can know the real you, or you can't show that. So how important it is to have a personal brand in this particular time or age.
Yeah, it's a very fashionable term, na? This personal branding. That is itself is a problem. Because when something becomes fashionable, it becomes formulaic. There are now three things to make your personal brand.
Yeah.
I feel, don't build a personal brand. Okay. Be personal. You know, don't be pretentious.
Yeah.
Be human. Be emotional. Be who you are. You know. So cut the branding out of it. Actually, if you want to build a personal brand, cut the branding out of it, because the branding is the problem.
Yeah.
You know, what does being personal mean? Being personal mean be real, reveal a bit of yourself, try to let the person see something which in 10 minutes is not the norm, right? Ensure that you don't ask those questions which will land you into a very placid answers. Okay, so what have you done in your life? What do you do? Right? And stuff like that. Second, be vocal about what you believe in.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need a forum or a podcast or a seminar to be who you are. So in my view, if since, like I said, I'm machine learning because I've lived some decades on this earth, and if I talk to some 100 people who have met me, they will more or less talk about certain things, will say that this is who you are.
Yeah, of course.
Now, I was not building a personal brand. I was just being myself. You know, it starts with that.
Yeah. Like very interestingly, of course. And you talked about like having that experience and talking in a way ki jahan pe you also know it that you are not faking it.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Because when you do it, you know it.
Correct.
You know
very
it.
Right. Very nicely put.
So jahan, like the moment you feel like that, because you rightly said ki branding hata doge, to if you put that branding on, you monotonous ho jayega. Everybody will look same. There's no personal branding into that. They're just branding. They're just putting it out
formula.
There. Marketing kind of a thing. There's nothing personal to it. Very rightly said. And you traveled a lot and must have talked to a lot of people, and we are talking about the house, and it's so pretty, and you have picked out random things from random places. Is there any enlightening or a fascinating story or a funny story of your travel, like go back to again and again, कि जब भी वो होता है ना कि अब बात करते हो आप कहीं ना कहीं anecdotes सुनाते हो अपने दोस्तों के साथ and you flex about something like, oh, the experience man, I had that in like particular
So many
place.
of them, yeah. Like
What is
it's
your
difficult
favorite
to.
one?
Oh,
Or
so
the recent
many.
one, like whatever comes to your mind right now.
Yeah, like there was a very interesting incident which happened. I was in Italy, and I was in Siena. I was drinking at some place, and there was this what I call tram. A guy wearing his hat and his haversack on his back, and he was smoking. So I wanted to drag off that smoke, you know.
Yeah.
So I said, "How should I?" So I generally tried to talk to him, but he was very reserved. Like,
Hmm.
you know, all he would say is nod his head, and youngish guy around 30. And I said, "How are you doing?" He was like, "Good, good." Then I said, "Yaar, he won't give me a drag." So I said, "You want a drink?" Good, good. So I bought him a drink. When I bought him a drink, he actually gave me a drag and he gave me extra also. And I traveled from Siena to the Tuscan villages. So I went to this बहुत ही पुरानी गांव है वहाँ पे countryside, Sandy Orcha.
Oh.
तो सैंडी ओर्चा कुछ 2000 लोग हैं 3000 लोग हैं बहुत ही खूबसूरत countryside where you have pizza wines but this countryside sleeps by 9:30 10
Yep.
you know
Yeah.
when I go there which I traveled I find this tramp again over there and we have not exchanged any numbers nothing he's not carrying a cell phone
Yeah.
he's on some journey whoa he's a wanderer
Uh.
you know so I meet him there also again we met again he's smoking I said I want a drag I said I bought him a drink you know we again sat down and in the middle of that little countryside next to the town square whatever it was we had a smoke and we left then I fell in love with the countryside in Tuscan मुझे बहुत प्यारे लगे वो गांव तो मैंने बोला यार और कहाँ जा सकते हैं there is a most ancient village in Tuscan called
Okay.
San Gimignano बहुत ही पुराना गांव है वहाँ का तो मैं कहा मैं वहाँ जाता हूँ
Okay.
so I went there and 9:30 again absolutely beautiful place I was staying at the center I could see from the window of the hotel सब लोग सो गए 9:30 बजे suddenly around 10:30 I see the tramp is standing in the middle of the square हमारा कोई conversation नहीं है I didn't tell him I'm going to San Gimignano he's there so I said hi to him and I came up to the hotel then I suddenly felt something कि यार कुछ तो है universe is sending him again and again to me so I got a bottle of red wine and I came down. I said, "You want to have a drink?" And of course, everything is shut. So there was a church, and church के सामने में एक थोड़ा portico type था, जहाँ पे एक bench था.
Okay.
हम बैठ गए वहाँ पे. Me and Tramp in disposable cups. We were having wine, and he was smoking again. Of course, we smoked and very little conversation. So he said, he just had a little breakup.
Oh.
And he's traveling the world. And again, all he says is good, good. I couldn't forget him, you know what I mean? Like, and what are the chances that I traveled so many places and the tramp was there and we shared a bottle of wine together for 1 hour, sitting in the moonlight next to the church somewhere in San Gimignano. I feel that this is a thing I wish I would have done. From the childhood, can we keep a diary of everyone we have ate and drank with?
Oh.
जिनके साथ हमने कोई खाना खाया हो या कुछ पिया हो उसके बारे में 2 लाइन 3 लाइन अगर डायरी मेंटेन की जाए it will be a beautiful story book because the most intimate thing you can do with any human being is to share a drink or a food so I that was a beautiful experience.
Talking with you and not talking about idea and Ariel will be a sin. So talking about that in a very different way, I would like to put it. Ariel shared the load and idea, the campaign with the Abhishek Bachchan, where they are talking about the societal problems and how idea is solving it, as the name suggests. And that cracked a lot of things for idea. Like that particular campaign put idea in the industry, in the mind of people, ki, okay, there's something existing also. Because before that, like idea was not, if I'm not wrong, was not working in metropolitan cities.
Yeah.
It was like building.
Correct.
It was building.
Correct.
So with Ariel Share the Load and Ideas campaign, you see it's a very society driven thing. Challenges they are facing.
Yeah, and the other big one which taught me a lot was Tata Tea Jagur.
Jagur.
That was the start of a lot of
Yeah.
good campaigns, because I think that time I was in Lintas, and Jagore and What an Idea happened at the same time.
Yeah.
And almost with the same team, and that became my school. When good work happens, that becomes your school, that becomes your degree or chapter or your ways of looking at the world. So yeah, again, these are all gifts of life, right? Like you don't say I will do Jagore or I'll do What an Idea or Share the Load. You are on the journey. You meet the tramp. He's smoking. You want the drag.
Just share it.
Now you need to get your red wine bottle
and make something out of it. Yeah. I can be a part of it. But talking about Jagore also and Idea and I'll Share the Load, somewhere it is talking more than like what they are as a brand or something like that. They are talking about the society and what people are about and hold as an emotion. And you have been talking about emotional data over a data-driven method. So moving forward, like for the aerial and everything, the social campaigns, what changes it made in you after that?
दो चीजें हैं, right? Like, पहले तो they are not social campaigns.
Yeah.
Because when we brand these as social campaign, that's where the problem starts.
Okay.
Saying, okay, these are social campaigns, and then what I call post office, जो post करते हैं ना. So, in fact, I want to start an agency called Post Office, जहाँ पे केवल post बनेगी रोज. कोई impact नहीं होगा, कोई effectiveness नहीं होगी, किसी का कोई emotional connection नहीं होगा, लेकिन 1,000 posts on Mother's Day will go from my agency. What is the point of it? But I feel that these were not social campaigns. These were campaigns which did work for the business and brand both.
Yeah, surely.
When we were doing Tata Tea, Jagore, it was actually struggling against a lot of big brands from Unilever. And also there was different brands in Tata Tea. There was Tata Tea Premium, Tata Tea Gold. There was Agni, which was sitting outside the portfolio. There was nothing called Tata Tea Jagur as an idea. Right? And the brief came saying, we want to do umbrella branding and stuff like that. And, what I feel is that when we brand things wrongly, we fall off the radar. So to me, they were not social campaigns. They were the most effective campaigns.
Surely.
Which is why you're bringing it up.
Yeah.
And not only you, many people will bring it up. And not because I have done it. Good campaigns are part of the industry.
Yeah.
Okay. I have seen other people from other agencies talking about these campaigns. I have seen today briefs coming, do something like Share the Load. Ariel. What do you mean do something like Share the Load? Right? They become defining way of building brands. So to me, what it felt like is that you have to have a cultural truth to make the brand have cultural currency. Without that, that brand will live in moments. Why today people are not thinking of brands? Because we are doing moment marketing. If you think of a moment with me, you think I'll think of you after that?
No.
Right? जब podcast करना तो मुझे बात कर लो. उसके बाद भूल जाओ. Second podcast तो नहीं मिलेगा. फिर तो it's a moment marketing.
Yeah.
Right?
For a brief.
So I'll remember when I have to do podcast. I won't remember when I'm generally meeting friends and saying XYZ and they उसको भी बुलाते हैं. I won't think of you.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So the fallacy of the marketing world and advertising world today is that we are treating consumers as rats. Right? We think there's a Pavlovian response to our emotions, which is not true. Otherwise, I would have called everybody my mother. If Pavlovian is what works, right? Because there are so many mothers and so many women who can hug me and say, Beta, you are just like my son, which is true. I have my Masi, I have my mother's best friend. Do I consider them like replacement of my mother? No. Right? So to me, these campaigns taught me something very, very fundamental. That there has to be something more than selling the functional product to build brands. They were not done social campaigns, and I'll explain why. What does a tea do? आपको जगाती है, right?
Yeah.
But जगाने का मतलब केवल उठना नहीं है. कि हाँ मैं उठ के चाय पी लिया. जागना है. So when you shift the meaning system of tea from if tea is a stimulant which wakes you up to awakens you, everything changes. This is not just a tea which wakes you up. This is a tea which awakens you. Right? Let's take idea. You have to sell network. Everybody has to sell network. Right? Somebody was selling network with a nice puppy, right? Pug, saying it follows wherever you go. We didn't have money, like you said. We didn't have so much of network. So we said, what should we do? And that time, the technology was still evolving. Today, you can do so much with mobile telephony. That time, we did the idea for education for all. Right? So we said, why can't mobile telephony be the unlocker? And plus, you're sitting on a brand name idea. Why can't we give one idea every time through mobile telephony as a transformational idea, right? I feel that there is lack of truth in the marketing and advertising world today, right? There is lack of courage. And I'm not talking courage about army. I'm just talking about courage to do something which is meaningful. You know, everybody is being pushed by numbers, data. Then we should be as good as how much you earn, right? Because that's your data. तुम इतना कमाते हो तो तुम छोटे हो. Then बड़ा भाई should not be called बड़ा भाई, right? He is earning less than छोटा भाई. The छोटा भाई should be the family head, right? So I'm saying the fallacy of looking at data as a competitive advantage is the problem. Research, consumer research and data is not competitive advantage. वही data सबके पास है.
Yeah, of course.
Right? 10,000 restaurants sell Chinese noodle. But everybody has the data. How is going to give you a competitive advantage? You can sit on that data and it will not connect with you. Right? So to me, what's happening is the connections are missing today. Consumers are smarter. They are seeing through this. कि smart में aim करने से मेरी मम्मी के बारे में बात नहीं कर रहे हो. It's like you never go to your mom and sit with her. But on Facebook, you put the picture of your mom. She tells your dad, ये देख लो आजकल के बेटे मेरे. Time नहीं है उसके पास. This is how consumers are reacting to the brands. You know, and I feel it's a time, because just one more sharing that the first city in the world was London, and after 1 year there was plague in London because they did not develop the drainage system properly. So we are going through the drainage problem. You know, for few years we will follow data, brands will suffer, connection will become weaker, fallacy of this, let's do data marketing and targeting and Pavlovian response from the consumer will go away, because everybody is now charting a certain chant, right? It's again validation. There is no conviction, there is no instinct, there is no intuition, there is no belief. I don't know why we need marketing people or advertising people anymore. If data is going to decide, why are so many marketing people hired in the first place? Think about it. If suppose doctor every time says, "Jo report mein hai wo theek hai," so why do I need the doctor?
Surely.
Your report is telling your hemoglobin is low.
You know it.
You know it. Why do I need that joker to pay him again 3,000 rupees after the test? Right? Same thing is happening today in advertising and marketing. And I think somebody needs to look into it. Somebody needs to question this. And some people are doing it. It will kind of go through this phase of drainage problem. Plague will happen very soon. When all the spends and marketing and advertising will suffer through lack of something truthful and meaningful. And we'll come back to it. And there are enough signs of content today, right? There's deluge of posts and marketing inputs.
True.
There is shortage of impact. You know, and everybody is questioning the input. Right? So if you are doing so many posts, why it is not connecting? You have all the data, right? If Netflix has all the data, why is not everybody watching Netflix all the time?
Not earning. Beautiful. I think we'll get it's a journey, of course, and
it's a journey, and I don't think it's either or. We had data earlier also. Healthcare was the first sector which had data and technology, right? It is evolved. But can we do without doctors?
No, can't.
Good doctors, of course. Bad doctors we should do one, right? But good doctors who can look at data and still have a point of view.
Not
Saying,
driven
I
by that.
understand this thermometer, temperature, data, all these metrics, but I prescribe a certain treatment, right? Same thing will happen in marketing and advertising. Mediocre people will be out because mediocre people are hiding behind data. Okay? Because they're saying data is saying this, and why are you saying this? Let data say it, no? You don't need to be there. So there will be a time when a lot of marketing, advertising churn will happen, and only good, brilliant, instinctive, intuitive, understanding patterns in data, connecting it to human insight, those professionals will remain.
Interesting. Coming to the end, and I think we've talked about a lot of things.
I know.
And this is the patent question I ask everybody. So, who is Suraj other than CEO, marketing professional, advertising professional, and that? Who is Suraj as a human?
I don't know introduction or not, but I feel that my entire journey is find the answers to the questions which I used to be obsessed with as a kid.
Yeah.
Why, like I said, why people die, where do they go after they die, and what happens to parents, and why we do what we do, why we spend a day with strangers and come back tired to our lovers. I don't understand that. Why do we dress in things which we don't like because other people like, and we do that? Why do we lie? What is the need for it? Why do we need validations? I think I'm interested in night, like why it's called night. I think it's day because I'm very nocturnal. मुझे रात से मेरा कोई खास रिश्ता है. Why don't we say exactly what we feel everywhere, right? Why don't we own ourselves? Why do we fear about what? Why isn't truth the biggest freedom? उससे बड़ी तो कोई freedom नहीं है. Why do people lie and stay in slavery? Why don't we touch people? Why don't we connect as us? Why the whole conversation is always about what do you do? Who you are versus what do you do, right? I think there are so many important things to talk. Why are the conversations so shallow? Yeah. Which is why everything is so mediocre. Nothing stays with you. You meet so many people through the day, at work, in life. You don't stay with anyone. Nothing stays with you. The moment. Then you're looking for a book or a movie or something to mess with your mind, because all of them were so bland. In a country जहाँ में मसाला पसंद है, इतने bland experiences क्यों हैं? Why do we have to go somewhere to feel alive? Why aren't we alive all the time? Those are few of my things which I chase. I think it's beautiful. The moment you'll chase it and get answers, just call me. We'll sit again and talk about it all. Certainly. The launch of Book of Life, School of Life. All the best to that, and thank you so much, sir, for giving your time, and Sunday especially. And I hope you also had fun and enjoyed it. Oh, thanks a lot. मैं कहूँगा कि कुछ interaction आप नहीं भूलते हैं. This is one of the interaction I'll not forget, because I don't think you should thank me. I should thank you, because when will I get time to sit down, reflect on so many different, absolutely unrelated provocations, and spontaneously almost record it in a way that I can refer back to. So all I can say, Piyush, thank you so much for giving me this gift. This gift, I'll have it for a lifetime. And thank you, Samir, also, who's been listening patiently, with all his camera setup and everything. So I really, really thank both of you, because this is very important to me, what you guys have done today afternoon. It's not a podcast, it's a heartcast. Dil ki baatein hai. Bilkul, bilkul. Genuinely, it felt like that. Thank you for the gift. Thank you so much, sir. And I hope people will be mesmerized. Well, I mean, something should connect, I hope.